joining Newchip's Demo Week. My name is Mahesh Narayanan. I'm the Program Director for Series A companies at Newchip. And today we have an amazing guest, Ms. Radhika Ananth from Accel. She's been part of their investment team since 2017. She's currently their VP, and she focuses on investments in seed and early stage health and life science companies. She looks at life sciences, medical technologies, digital health, and healthcare delivery. So thank you, Radhika, for joining us today.
Thank you, Mahesh. Great to be here. Great to be part of your demo week. Would love to share my views and learning since I started investing the last 4 years.
Excellent. So Radhika, tell me, how did you get into investments? How did you get to Accel? What was your journey so far?
Yeah, so it was serendipitous and accidental. I graduated from Madras, southern part of India, with a biotech degree from a medical college, and then went to UK as part of a research scholar to study genetics there. Did that for a few months, and then instead of continuing there in my converting those credits to a master's program, I moved to the United States. I took my GRE in London, moved to the US, and studied molecular biology and bioinformatics from Kansas State University. And post graduation from master's, I went on to do an internship for a year at Johns Hopkins. And this is when the country fell into recession. So it was hard for me without a PhD to find the kind of jobs I wanted to, the industry jobs. And then it was also difficult to find any other jobs because I am very research focused. So I was trying whatever I could, whatever came my way. And then there was a business research in healthcare opportunity that came up while I was on my student visa. So I tried that stint for a bit, and I could not get a full-time work visa. So I moved back to India. So my career pretty much started from India, right? Like, so I joined a market research firm. I got referred through by friends. I came back, I took a 2-month break and started that job. I was there in it for about a year and a half, again, writing customized consulting reports, market reports on life sciences and medtech for India markets, India, Southeast Asia. And post that, I had to move to Delhi. So I quit this job. And then when I moved to Delhi, I took up BCG, again, came through another colleague's reference. So there I was an expert consultant. So 65% of the time I was consulting for pharma, medtech clients for BCG, and the remaining part advising the healthcare practice area on proposals and converting proposals into casework, building out materials for that. So that was what I was doing for about 4 years. When Bharat called, Bharat is a partner at Accel, and we know each other from Madras days. Both we have common friends, cousins are friends, and so on. So when he became principal, there was an opening that came up for a senior associate with someone to help him build out the healthcare practice while he was heading it. So he called through common network. He knew that I was still looking at healthcare and BCG, and I was in the US then, holidaying and also work trip. When he called, I said, I don't understand finances. I'm far away from this job, so I'm not going to waste time. So let's not do this, but we'll continue to be in touch because we were anyway in touch, exchanging notes on industry, market sizing, and so on with the opportunities he was looking at. But then he kind of pushed me. He humored me, saying, Radhika, it must have been at least 4 or 5 years since you would have interviewed. So why don't you just give this a shot? It'll at least be fun. So that's how we started working on a case study. And during that case study, I absolutely enjoyed working with Bharat. And then went to present the case study in Accel office, met everybody, and I absolutely fell in love with the place. And thankfully, they also liked me enough to hire me. So I started my journey as a senior associate 4 years back in Accel, only looking primarily at life sciences biotech, slowly beginning to look at all things healthcare. Today, I look at health bio brands as well, and slowly trying to look at consumer internet businesses as well.
It looks like certainly serendipitous to be at Accel. Uh, in terms of your growth within Excel, like kind of starting off at, as you said, senior associate, right, and then kind of growing to VP. What have been some highlights in the past 4 years that you really felt like you've made an impact in the companies that either you've invested in or you've looked at? What have been some highlights in the past couple of years?
So the companies that we've invested in biotech, right, they are yet to completely play out in terms of them getting into the clinical development phases of execution. But the companies that we almost seeded a few years ago, at least when I came in diligencing and invested in Akamara. It was very early in preclinicals, and today we're getting ready to get that asset. It's an oncology triple negative breast cancer asset that would go into clinics very soon as we speak. So that for us is a remarkable progress. And outside of that, a bunch of our companies in oncology are doing pretty well. We have Onco.com, which is servicing the cancer patient market in India, to help them with their treatment planning, discover doctors within their region, specialized doctors, because specialists in India are still, we have only about 2,000 oncologists in the country. So finding for the right kind of cancers and getting the right kind of treatment is still a bit of a challenge. We follow older protocols. So Onco.com tries to revolutionize that by while abiding to the HIPAA, also making sure that it's a very holistic treatment plan where there's surgical radiologists, radiation radiologists, consultant oncologists are all looking at the report and being able to write the required treatment program, and then continue to manage the patient end-to-end care they're providing, starting from diagnosis until, God forbid, palliative care. They're hand-holding the patient with a care manager, and providing the necessary community support, nutritional advice, mental health advice, and so on. So they double up as various different agents to manage the care program for the patient and the caregiver. That started off as a second opinion platform when we invested. Again, one of my investments, and then today they are growing to become a full stack care management, managed care program platform for oncology or cancer patients. So that's another exciting company or success story, as we could say, for some of the companies in healthcare for Accel.
Got it. And as you mentioned, the timelines for some of these investments, especially when it comes to traditional hard life sciences in biotech and so forth, are so long. By the time you start to, by the time they get to clinic or have some type of exit. So how do you plan for those type of long-term, in essence, bets? With these companies, how do you know, or how do you look at teams? How do you look at technologies that are so early that you can see if they'll be successful later on? What are some of the things that you gauge that by?
Yeah, that's a good question, Mahesh. Couple of things. I think it's going to be a two-way answer. First one is the most simpler one, so let's just hit that. See, from a fund perspective, like VC funds run on a 2 to 3 year cycle, right? And then we again get a new fund, and then we deploy monies out of that new fund. So for each fund, we take a mix of bets. At least when many of us in healthcare, like for example, I wouldn't make more than at the max 2 biotech investments out of a fund, right? Because the risk reward ratio is super high. But the gestation period for a company from a seed stage to clinic is I wouldn't ideally want to do more than a one or two at the very max. Second one is, see, we look for teams. Usually these are known teams to us. We've been tracking that company, or they refer to us by other founders, or they come out of academic labs, right? And we have heard or seen of their work, or someone within our network knows their work. So that becomes automatically more credible and more acts like a ref check for us. And in terms of the asset by itself, see, for us, it depends. In oncology, we really look for first in class more than best in class, unless the best in class is a second or a third and not fourth or fifth. And then we're developing it from India. So there may be a lag between early stage preclinicals to getting to a later stage preclinicals in the US and then to clinics in the US. So we ensure that we're not too far behind. So those are the simpler market studies we try to look at. And eventually the asset, right? How it binds, what is the tox data, at least the safety profile has to be superiorly good. Efficiency, we can see, right? The dosing can change, and we can try a number of things to make efficiency work out. It'll continue to be unknown, but safety profile and at least needs to be clearly checking out for us. Other than that, if there are any partnerships, strategic partnerships, so they're working with pharmas, that's again great validation. Publications or underway publications are again great. So those are things that we look for at very early stage biotech or life sciences opportunities.
Got it. And obviously, this
Sorry,
past year,
just one last thing to add. One last thing to
yes,
add,
please.
Mahesh. Uh, the other thing I think from India for us, it's important to get another investor who understands life sciences. Not many investors do that from India, understand that, or it's not in our DNA to make those investments. Accel is just one of the three or so. So it's important to get a co-investor either from here or from Boston, San Francisco, who understand the science, right? Because eventually these companies have to get listed or get bought out by someone in the US. At least that's the playbook we are familiar with. There could be n number of other permutation and combinations that could come up, but we don't know those. This is what we understand. So this is something, the other thing that we sort of look for.
Yeah, I guess a follow-up to that, talking about biotech in India, or even Asia in general. Obviously, the pandemic has shown, the tremendous strengths that India has as a manufacturer, and quite a lot of in-house development that are happening. What are your thoughts in how development has taken place in India in general, Asia in general, but also how it's been impacted by the pandemic, and where do you see it going from now? Since there's been so much positivity coming out of how much India can do in terms of creating vaccines and developing vaccines, manufacturing them. Where do you see the future growth in India for biotech?
Yeah. Yeah, Mahesh, I think I'm going to again answer this from biotech perspective and as well as healthcare, right?
Sure.
So the tailwinds of COVID, before COVID, people would not really look at biotech or healthcare opportunities very seriously because, see, US is a 4 trillion healthcare economy, and 97 to 98% of the opportunities are tapped, right? As in, you have things in place, the health systems are in place, insurance, Medicaid, Medicare, and the private insurances are in place. There are Kaiser Permanente models, and then there are lots of innovations happening in biotech across anything you name it, and there are like tens of companies, if not hundreds, in every space. The remaining opportunity that's to be unlocked is really efficiency unlocks, right? The 10 to 20% efficiencies, iterating those efficiencies, making things better, making things more automated, building, consolidating health systems, perhaps making things more, much more instantaneous, much more easier, is what US is focusing on. Whereas in India, we have very nascent problems. Access is a problem, affordability is a problem, accuracy is a problem. So we're fighting the basic battles, right? Like when I was born, my mom used to go to a hospital, file my case, as in a bonded record, right, on a file with the
Sure.
papers. Today, when I go to my gynecologist for a regular checkup or to the clinic for any other checkup, that's the same thing that happens. I still have to go to the receptionist. If I don't have a record already, I need to make one. Even so, we have very different problems, right? And then there is the next billion. under the next new set of internet customers, they don't have access to proper healthcare even in cities, because they otherwise they have to spend a lot more, right? So
Sure.
for getting them access becomes important. So we're still building models to get our nascent problems taken care of. That's the same thing in biotech. Now we've seen pharma disruption happening. It's all generics. There's no innovation, and we Bharat and I have thought, why wouldn't the large generics companies get into innovation? It's just that they don't know where to start, right? I mean, if they see innovation coming out robustly, more number of players. Now, right on top of my mind, I have three, four, five companies at the max to say these are the awesome innovators, out of which two or three are our companies. But if that five becomes 15, for example, in the next year and a half or two, automatically companies would be interested to buy them out for a few $100 million. That few hundred million will then trickle out to $1 billion outcome, and so on, right? But that ecosystem has to grow. We are just still seeding it. So that I think will happen. And now there's a lot of inbound interest. I have funds talking to us, as well as when I speak to biotech companies in the US, they tell me, can I feel the R&D cost arbitrage is super good in India. Like building, like doing early discovery work in India is super efficient. So can you help me set this up? If you fund me, can you help me set this up? Because and no innovated lab, a company that is being spun out of a Harvard or a Dana-Farber or Brigham has ever spoken to me before COVID this way, right? I used to go to them and pitch to them that Accel India also makes biotech investments. But today, because of our vaccines, right, and vaccines, I mean, US, I don't know if you guys are vaccinated, but above 60 and above 45 people are largely in the urban areas getting vaccinated, right? I don't know the number, how much the penetration is. So people know, have taken notice after the Serum Institute and AstraZeneca vaccine and Biotech's vaccine. I think we've been literally put on the map for innovation again. So that is phenomenal tailwinds for biotech. So we're just about waiting to see how things blossom from here. Sorry about the long-winded answer.
No, no, I think that covers pretty much everything I wanted you to cover. Because I think there is, I mean, biotech in general, I feel like has a new tailwind across the world when it comes to investments, and we see an incredible number of companies, taking different types of investments, SPACs, actually going IPO very quickly, or looking at a very large Series A's, very 50, $60 million Series A's, right? So there's a lot of big numbers coming out of biotech, and I think it's one of the few industries that, if anything, grew out of the pandemic, as you would expect. I think
Yeah.
the industry was put in place, and then sorry, so it's put in the spot. And then I think the industry overall delivered quite well with the speed and the efficiency and the innovation that actually took place just in 12 months during the pandemic. So I think it's definitely a good sign for where the industry is going, and hopefully more innovation happens, not just because there's a pandemic, because there's so many other
Yeah,
needs, and
exactly.
more things need to be really thought of in a similar way, where everything we say, let's see what we can do in this particular indication for the next 12 months and see how much innovation comes out, kind of driving it one at a time, rather than just everyone going after everything at the same time. The
Right.
focus, I think, really drove the innovation in the industry.
Right. And Mahesh, the only other point that I want to quickly add is Industry 4.0, right? And I think that we are part of that revolution as well, because it's easier, cost efficient to manufacture here. And with AI and IoT focus, we are again a engineering rich country, right? Every third person is an engineer, or we are also getting data scientists ramped up. So there are many companies coming out where they're trying to build out systems, robust systems to manage industries and manufacturing facilities. So that I think that will also create a new wave because of the COVID tailwinds.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I know that you wanted to show a quick presentation, so I wanted to take this time to kind of show what's actually happening in India and Asia, and in Excel, how you're thinking about the growth opportunities, and where things are progressing. So I'd love to see the presentation and kind of go through that very quickly.
Sure, Mahesh, we'll do that. We'll try to be quick with it. So, yeah. Are you able to see?
I'm able to see, yes.
Great. So this is about the opportunity for building healthcare companies in India for India and also from India for the globe. So there are a bunch of us who look at it, but primarily it's Bharat and me. And Anand is also supporting us with the non-biotech healthcare activities because he primarily makes consumer investments. So for us, we believe that India is a 185 billion healthcare landscape, and it's almost 20 times bigger in the US. 4 trillion global means it's all US. I don't think for us, India or US, beyond that, nothing really matters. And so foreign investments are growing. Again, we see that a lot of interest from growth stage investors are happening for India because the IRR for India-based investments is also becoming better. The profiles are becoming better. So within that, we've categorized. So within healthcare, we've categorized into wellness and fitness, insurance, diagnostics, service delivery, pharma, and medtech. And high growth is pretty much all these categories, right? Fitness, wellness, with digital adoption, private insurance, because we're like 5-7% penetrated with insurance products in private insurance products. And with government, it comes up to 27 to 30%. So there's a huge space, wide space opportunity for creative insurance products to penetrate into the markets. And then we have the diagnostics, both imaging and pathology are really huge, unorganized segments for India. So we're looking to explore that. Then service delivery as well, pharma, medtech. Medtech, we haven't seen first in class innovation coming out of India. They're more of me too's or best in class, second, third best. So, and those don't, when they go to the US to sell, it takes, it's slower for the products to evolve. So there's a pause or reservation in investing in that sector, but everything else, I think we are exploring. Again, so yes, taxation, regulation, regulatory frameworks, and the cost arbitrage we discussed. These are all some of the benefits of building out startups in healthcare today in India. We have investments across all these subsectors except for e-pharmacy. So we missed out on this opportunity because the regulatory frameworks were understood for us at that point, and we wanted a more verticalized focus. We thought if you verticalized, if you say, for example, own and sell only oncology medicines, then you can go into diagnostics and oncology and care management, insurance, everything within one vertical, get that done, and then go into other categories. That was a thesis, but something very differently played out for us. And other than that, everywhere else we have a portfolio, a company. And again, these are a mix of our companies plus companies of other funds from India. We have, for example, Innovasa, which became a recent unicorn a couple of months ago. So that one builds out SaaS-based platform, IT system that would sit on top of the health systems in the US. So they started out of India and moved to the US. So we're seeing if there are more such opportunities that can come out of India. This we discussed. So a country where there was hardly any telemedicine activity happening, suddenly because of COVID, 85% of the doctors started consulting online, and 80% of them were first-time users, and almost all of them, 80% of them, were very happy in the digital adoption, both patients as well as the clinicians. So that is a big positive sign that has happened with COVID. Other than that, we see an increase in wanting nutraceuticals, virtual fitness classes are a rage. since COVID. Health insurance penetration has gotten better and bigger, both driven by employers, group insurance plus retail insurance. People buying for their parents or top up policies have also dramatically increased. And the other last thing, like I mentioned, we're quickly looking at uh, deploying IoT or AI or newer technologies for industry 4.0 adoption in manufacturing and pharma. And the other thing I wanted to bring up was even the government is supporting this, right? We have allocations with with budget allocations from Ayushman Bharat or for Ayushman Bharat or from Ayush, which is Ayurveda and alternate medicine practice for India. Plus, the national digital health stack was being empowered by the government. So we have something like a health ID, quite like the SSN. There's a health ID or a Aadhaar card ID kind of plug-in for health records management, so people can walk in and out of systems with that ID. It's still very nascent, but the conversations are seriously being driven so we can automate health records and collect longitudinal data over a period of time. Healthcare at Accel, these are our portfolios across subcategories. Um, we're pretty much excited about all of these. The most recent ones are Best Doc, which is building hospital systems for India, Digby Health, which I invested in, and it is out of the US. It's similar to Luongo Omara Water and chronic care management, tapping into the US market. We discussed Onco.com. CareStack is providing verticalized SaaS solution like a CRM for the dental practice in the US. Again, a company that's built out of here for the US. ACO is an insurance product company, also double clicking into health insurance products. And these are some of the emerging trends, Mahesh, that we are excited about. One of them is an asset light model. So take up underutilized hospitals or hospital centers, and bring in your surgeon or and rebrand the place to make it efficient, to get better patient footfall, for providing cheaper surgeries but quality surgeries, right? Because today, for elective procedures, which are non-critical procedures, elective ambulatory care procedures, patients tend to go to large hospitals paying more than $1,000, $1,000 to $1,500. So can we get that for half the price, or at at 30% of the price, or so on? When it's done in a smaller hospital, so you may not get the superstar facilities, but the operation is done. It's a daycare surgery. You're immediately discharged, and then the care manager manages you through before and after post operation as well, right? So that's an exciting opportunity. Insurer led high quality primary care. Those opportunities are interesting. AI in biotech, for us, AI in drug discovery and drug development is of interest rather than pure assets at this point. We're also focusing on AI based biotech companies. I guess that's about it. I think we've come to the end of the presentation. Happy to answer any specific questions you may have.
Yeah, well, I guess one thing I would like to clarify is that Excel doesn't invest just in India, correct? They invest across the world, including US, as well as Asia and Europe. So how do you manage so many different portfolios, so many different companies, and do you have certain interest in certain regions, or are you showed multiple different interests that you currently have? How do you focus that certain companies or certain areas?
Yeah. So Mahesh, Accel is a network of three independent funds. Accel US, and the offices are based in Palo Alto and San Francisco. Then we have an office, the one that looks at Europe market. There's an office in London, and the one that looks at India and Southeast Asia, the office is in Bangalore. So we are based out of India, looking at the India market. We do interact with the other geographies, but we don't necessarily look at those markets for investments. So we are a 515 million fund, and we deploy monies independently across sectors. So we primarily cover India and to some extent Southeast Asia. US covers North America, and London covers primarily Europe. So it's very well segregated.
And so the interests that you showed, those are primarily for Accel India at this time. Is that correct?
Yes, these are all Accel India's portfolios. Yeah.
Yeah. I guess we're coming towards the end of our time. So I guess you spoke a few of your successes already, but are there any particular industries or particular companies that you invested in or plan to invest in? Anything that you can share with us that excites you moving forward for 2021?
So we, like I said, the from the emerging trends that we are looking at a bunch of companies, anything related with insurance, new age insurance brokers, or new age insurance product distributors look interesting to us. Asset-light models in primary care and secondary care models are exciting for us. So these are two or three things, and of course, like I said, AI in healthcare, AI in medicine continues to be of interest. So these are some of the broad categories we're looking at, and brands as well, consumer brands in healthcare as well.
And what are some thoughts you can pretty much pass on to companies for companies that are looking to be funded by large funds like Excel? What are some key things that you can kind of you know provide to our companies in order to be funded today in the future? And what are some things that they should focus on and kind of look forward to?
See, I think the fundamental, I don't think it's an advice. It's something that when we talk to companies, many companies, we tell them that not all businesses are meant to be VCable businesses, right? They don't need to really scale that much. And it can be a very profitable company for the people who are looking to start. So it's important to understand that. And if you think it is a VCable business and it needs to scale, the magnitude or economics of scale is important for that business. And usually, if it's a tech business, that scale becomes very pertinent. If that's the case, then figure out your market, right? Like understand how big your market can be. For most venture funds, if you're larger funds, we would look for large market opportunities. Yeah, so it's important to understand your TAM very, very clearly, and doing a bottoms up exercise, market sizing on that would make a lot of sense. Uh, Other than that, try to see how you can form the best team together, be it it's your scientific advisory board or your medical advisory board. Or your co-founders with complementary skills. So ensure that you have all of that and you can put the team together, because again, at early stage, these are the only two things: team and TAM, right? And I think many of the times team takes over even the market opportunity, because they can pivot, they can do something else a little bit if not a lot of money has been invested in them. For a biotech startup, again, I don't know. I mean, besides the asset working, right? Platform can be phenomenal, but we really value the main asset that's coming out of the platform. So if you understand that asset really well, and again, you have a very good scientific advisory team in place, and you're able to produce publications, or you're thinking from day one about publications and becoming a and talking to farmers and getting their inputs and hustling with the farmers, because at the end of the day they are the ones who will buy you out. So or you want a list, but you still need farmers blessings in some way or form. So having those early conversations and iterating on that is extremely pertinent.
Excellent. I think that's a great, even though you said it was not advice, I think it's still very solid advice for companies, especially in life sciences and tech or digital tech. Radhika, I really want to thank you for your time. I think there are a lot of important points that you made, and I think a lot of companies are going to find value in what you've said today, even if it's not directly, about one company or another. I think in general, a lot of these points are quite important for across the board. So, any parting words?
I think you we pretty much covered it all, Mahesh. Many more, I would encourage people with that energy and hustle to really want to start out. If you start out and if you fail, it's fine because you'll have a lot of learning, start again. Right? It's a great time to be starting out. As you see, the markets, capital markets are going insane. So it's better to be that's on that side than to be on this side, right? So yeah.
Okay, excellent. Thank you so much again, Radhika. Thank you to all the people that are joining us today to watch this panel. And thank you to all the companies that have presented already. And good luck to all the companies that are going to present for the rest of the week. And good luck to everyone that's watching this. And stay safe.